Micromobility giant Segway has just launched two new e-bikes, claiming to be cool and safe. Are those two things mutually exclusive, or have they done it? Let's find out. Segway just introduced two new e-bikes, the Cypher and the Safari. They claim to be cool, innovative, and have safety features. Can you really combine these two things? Cool is at the end of extreme, risk-taking, and being dynamic, and safety is about being conservative and not taking any risks. Can you really bring these two things together? Let's find out. The Cypher is almost electric bike-esque. Those 20-inch, 3-inch tires, this kind of road tread on them, the very short pedals, that massive battery and that huge motor on the back. That electric bike seat, it really is more of a motorcycle or an electric bike with very short pedals to try and make it an e-bike. It has certainly plenty of power. It looks really cool, and I would like to ride it. I mean, the one fundamental question I have they done anything innovative here? If you go back to 2008, a company called Stealth created a really cool electric bike with pedals and really marketed to people that wanted to ride around in their own private properties. Because again, like the Cypher, the Stealth bike is not road legal. It's too much power. Speeds are outside of all of the class limits here in the United States. So have they done something innovative? If you compare to Stealth, well, I would actually pick the Stealth over the Cypher. The Stealth, what I like about it is that it has a mid-drive motor, which means that you are amplifying the torque. And so if you want to get up a hill, you have the opportunity to create more torque at the rear wheel through the gearing system and through the chain system. Also, Stealth puts the motor in the middle of the bike, creating a much better weight dynamic. Now, the Stealth is much more expensive. The Australian company, I believe they sell for $5,000 to $7,000, whereas Segway's is around the $3,000 mark. So that is significantly cheaper. 10 years ago, Skillion created e-bikes of a similar style to the Cypher. We used 26-inch, 4-inch fat tires and a mid-drive motor from Bafang, which actually produces 210 Newton meters of torque. Also, it put the motor in the middle of the bike in the same way that Stealth did, creating a better weight balance and also getting the ability to create more torque at the rear wheel through the chain system. The Cypher doesn't do that. It puts this large motor at the back, and then the torque that you can get out of the motor is the torque that you are going to have at the back wheel, which is never going to be as good as having it through a drive system. Now, the Skillion, we were selling for under $3,000 US, about $2,500. So a little bit cheaper than the Cypher, and that was 7 to 10 years ago when we were actually selling those bikes. We no longer sell those, but I do still ride them and enjoy them. One of the key things which the Cypher has over the old Skillion is that big battery. Those massive batteries on the Cypher give you incredible power and incredible range, but also you have a lot of extra weight and space taken up. Now, I think that's actually the direction to go with this bike. It is so heavy and robust. It is more of an electric bike, and it gives incredible range. The problem is, where can you actually ride that legally? The Skillion bike, it was class 1, 2 or 3 depending on how it was programmed, and it was even legal in Australia as a 250 watt version. The Cypher just isn't. It's just not legal anywhere on public roads or trails, so it's just a private property bike only. Now, with those road tyres, where are you going to actually ride on private property on a road? Maybe if you've got a farm with paved roads, I would suggest if you're on a farm, you would probably have an ATV. At least you have a bike like that with off-road tyres, not on-road tyres. What I believe Cypher is trying to do is create a bike that's great for marketing. It's cool, it's attractive. Who is going to buy it? Extremely small niche of customers. When we look at the Safari, it's a completely different picture. This bike, I think, is far more practical. One of the things I really like about this bike is that step through. My wife rides one of our Skillion bikes. It doesn't have that step through feature. She finds it often difficult to get on and off, and I understand that. This would be a great bike for her. Also on the Skillion bikes, we have those 4-inch 26-inch, so 4-inch wide and 26-inch tires, which can be quite heavy and cumbersome. I think they're great for safety, but she finds the whole bike quite heavy, and that's one of the factors. So those slightly narrower 26-inch tires, I think would be better suited. I like the rear rack. I like a lot of the other tech features we're going to get into, but also that bigger battery. Now, one of the things that's happened over the last 5 to 10 years is just the improvement in battery performance. We had 500 watt hour batteries in our Skillion Max bikes 5 to 7 years ago. Now they're almost double the capacity of the battery. Now remember, when you're talking about battery capacity, it's watt hours. They often talk about amp hours, but that doesn't factor in the voltage. Now, most modern e-bikes now are coming out with 48 volts, which is what we did with Skillion. It's still pretty much the standard. So often if you're comparing 48 volts, you're also comparing amp hours without any problem. But to get around the voltage changes, look at the watt hours. So Skillion was 500, Safari is 1,000. So really double the range, double the power. And I don't think you probably need to go much more than that. I'm out riding for many hours with the 500 watt hour bikes. But if you're hitting some hills, then I think it definitely helps to have that extra bit of energy to go on those slightly longer rides and tackle those hills. So I'm actually a bit of a fan of the Safari, and I would even consider purchasing a bike like that for my wife. Let's have a look at the innovative tech features that they promote for the Safari, and I believe they're the same for the Cypher. One of them is this Apple Find My. That sounds to me like you just have to put one of those discs in under the seat somewhere. I don't think that's a big deal, and it's all Apple tech. Airlock keyless locking. Pretty basic feature. I mean, it's just an app which turns the electronics on and off. And to compare to Skillion, which we were working on 7 years ago, we had that feature certainly working on the Skillion bikes. App access and control. Here again, many bikes are coming out with apps, and those apps again turn the bike on and off. They also have some sort of dashboard, some sort of tracking feature. I don't think that's particularly new and innovative, and again, we were doing that in Skillion many years ago. IoT and cloud security layers, a bit unclear as to actually what that is. It sounds like they're tracking the bike. IoT generally means tracking, putting the digital twin into the cloud. And security layers, I don't know what that means, but if it's an IoT device which is tracking into the cloud, no big deal. We were doing that 7 to 10 years ago. We even sold fleets of bikes like that. Nothing new there. 4 amp fast charging. Okay, fast charging, that's a little bit more than what we are doing with the Skillion bikes 7 to 10 years ago, but I think that's really that innovative. All-in-one connected smart cockpit. Okay, that means, I think, that they're connecting to the battery and to the motor and maybe some other features, including the light. I don't know how clever that really is. I mean, running a wire from the dashboard down to the light to turn that on and off, not a big deal. And let's face it, the displays and the apps are all connected to the bike anyway. But I think the idea of a smart cockpit is great. Not particularly new and innovative. Intelligent lighting system, unclear exactly what that is, but I believe it works by being brighter in the day and less bright at night, something like that. Yeah, okay, that seems to be fairly new. Not very difficult to do though, simply just putting a light sensor and then turning the light brightness up and down. So I don't know that they've really come out with anything particularly innovative. I don't believe Segway's actually come out with anything all that smart, all that new, or all that innovative based on what they are telling me here. I do like the fact that it's packaged in. I do like the direction that they're going, but I think we could do a little bit more. We could expect a little bit more from Segway. Now, Segway claim that they're adding safety features in. Are they new and innovative? And can you really combine safety and cool? That's a big challenge. So let's have a look at the features and see if we can figure that out. Well, one of the features that I really like are the cockpit buttons. I think that is very elegantly done. Really good job. I love the fact that they're motorcycle style, which means you don't really have to even look at them. You can just feel which button it is you're going to press. I think that is a small thing, but perhaps a big thing when it comes to safety, because you're keeping your eyes up. And I think they've done a great job with that. The lighting, front and rear, okay. Bikes should have front and rear lights. I mean, the fact that bikes of this class and e-bikes are coming out without them is crazy. I mean, you should have a light on. It should be on day and night. I don't think that's particularly innovative. And this idea of intelligent, I think that's a bit of a stretch on the word intelligent when it's just adaptive. It's changing to the light conditions. I don't think that's particularly clever, but I'm glad that it's on these bikes. Front and rear disc brakes. Honestly, if they're putting a bike out like this without hydraulic front and rear disc brakes, then I think they're creating a bike that's dangerous. So yeah, it's needed to be there to be at a safe level, but I don't think it's a safety feature. And adaptive stepless power. Now, this is kind of a cool feature that I think is important, and often when I'm riding the e-bikes that we created 7 to 10 years ago, you needed to control the power, the pedal assist level manually up and down. And I think the idea of having adaptive and adjusting to the slope is cool. I think it does improve the riding experience, and I also think it's pro safety because it's less attention you need to give to, if you like, changing the pass levels or changing the gears on the bike. Now, they don't say you're changing the gears, but they certainly are offering an adaptive stepless power. I think that's a cool feature, and I like that a lot. When it comes to safety in e-bikes, various regulators around the world try to do it with certain regulations. In Europe and Australia, they control the power and the use of throttle and speed. And under 250 watts is required to go on public roads. In the United States, they have a class 1, 2, 3 system, which has a limited power, which is much higher, 750 watts. And then they control speed and throttle use. And it's varying very much on the jurisdictions, and it's pretty unclear whether you're in a jurisdiction that requires 1, 2, and 3. There are ways to find out. It tends to change and vary, so it's a little confusing. That said, the Cypher bike doesn't fit into any of those regulations, which means it's not legal on the roads at all. The Safari, on the other hand, does fit into the US class system and could be legal on the roads, but doesn't fit into the Europe or the Australian category. Well, when it comes to safety, you know, Hawkeye is all about safety, particularly for urban road use. I believe the Safari would benefit from having that feature integrated. There's already a frame where we could integrate the mechanicals for the Hawkeye into the back. And also there's the cockpit layout, which would lend itself very well to having Hawkeye's technology. Now, of course, Segway haven't done that. They haven't spent the years developing the technology that we have done. But I think this would be an enormous feature and a great feature for them. Safari has a big, powerful battery, which means we wouldn't need such big battery in the Hawkeye itself. And Hawkeye offers those features of detecting vehicles, classifying them, presenting them on the display, having audio signals, and it's all done with AI vision technology. It's quite advanced. We've been working on this for 5 or more years. Most of it is in software. It's quite difficult to do, but we believe that Segway's bike, particularly the Safari, would benefit from this technology. So has Segway done something cool? Have they introduced innovative features, and have they done something for safety? Well, I'm going to answer this in 2 ways. Firstly, the Cypher is a very cool bike. I would love to ride that bike, but I don't have private property to ride that around, so I wouldn't be going out to purchase it. I'd like to ride it. I think it'd be fun, definitely at the cool end. A very small niche of people could actually use this bike legally. For the Safari, I think that's actually a really cool bike. I could see it working great for my wife. I like the step-through feature. I like the powerful battery, the motor, those sorts of things. I would have preferred to have a mid-drive, but I would probably trade that off, and this is something I would even consider purchasing. Have they done something innovative on the tech side? I don't believe so. I think IoT features, intelligent light systems, and those other things is all standard tech, and they are sort of just lifting that straight into the bike. Have they done something on the safety? I don't believe they have done a lot on the safety side of things. They've leveraged in a lot of basic technology, which I think should be there. And so that doesn't really, to me, speak to a safety-focused bike. But I will say there are 2 features that I think stand out. One is the cockpit controls, the like motorcycle type controls of the features, which means you can keep your eyes up, and the adaptive power control, which means, again, you don't need to focus on changing power as you hit hills. And I think anything that keeps your attention up and out of the controlling the bike is pro safety. In summary, I think Segway's done a good job in creating a really cool bike, the Cypher, and a fairly reasonable and safe bike with the Safari. So can you combine coolness and innovative tech features and safety into one bike? I don't believe they've achieved that with this. I believe you've got cool at one end, you've got safety at the other end, and some element of innovative features. If you have any comments or suggestions for new videos, please leave them in the description below. We always read comments, and we're happy to make new videos around Hawkeye. So you don't miss out, click the like button, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. I hope that helps, and thanks for watching.